Sung-min was the boy everyone
Great.
wanted. Perfect grades, perfect family, perfect life. Then Kiara walked
Great.
into his world, and suddenly perfect didn't matter anymore. She was brave,
Great.
beautiful, and from a place his mother said was all wrong. But when you find someone who sees the real
Great.
you, how can that ever be wrong? If you love stories about forbidden romance and brave hearts, then hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching
Great.
from, and don't forget to like this video so we can bring you more amazing love stories. Let's
Great.
dive in. The moment Sung-min saw Kiara walking down that hallway, everything changed.
Great.
She wasn't like anyone he'd ever met before, and when she smiled at him asking for directions,
Great.
his heart did something it had never done. He didn't know that helping this lost girl would lead to the
Great.
biggest fight of his life. But some love stories are worth fighting for, even when the whole
Great.
world says no. Seoul International High School was buzzing with its usual Monday morning energy.
Great.
Students rushed through the hallways, chattering about weekend parties and upcoming exams.
Great.
Sung-min leaned against his locker, surrounded by his basketball teammates who were arguing about their
Great.
practice schedule. As captain of the team and son of the wealthy Park family, who owned half the luxury hotels in Seoul, Sung-min was used to being the center of attention. Everyone knew him.
Great.
Everyone wanted to be near him. But when she walked past, every other person in that
Great.
hallway disappeared. Kiara moved through the crowd like she was trying to become invisible.
Great.
Her dark skin glowed under the fluorescent lights, and her curly hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She clutched a paper with her class schedule, looking left and right with confusion written all
Great.
over her face. Other students stared at her, some whispering behind their hands.
Great.
Sung-min felt something twist in his chest at the sight of her struggling alone.
Great.
Without thinking, he pushed away from his locker and walked straight to her. "Excuse me,"
Great.
he said in Korean. "You look lost. Can I help?" Kiara looked up at him
Great.
with the most beautiful brown eyes he'd ever seen. She bit her lip nervously before answering in broken
Great.
Korean that made her even more adorable. "I need find classroom 3B. I am new student from Kenya." Kenya. Sung-min had learned about it in geography class, but suddenly he wanted to know everything about that country because it was where she came from. "I'm heading that direction. Follow me." As they walked together, Sung-min noticed how other students stopped to stare. His teammates looked shocked. Some girls whispered and giggled, but Kiara kept her head high, even though he could tell she felt uncomfortable with all the attention. There was something brave about her that made his heart beat faster. "I'm Sung-min," he said, wanting to hear her voice again. "Kiara," she replied softly. "Thank you for helping me. Other students just stare. Don't worry about them," Sung-min said, surprising himself with how protective he suddenly felt. "They stare at me, too, because I'm on the basketball team. You'll get used to it." She smiled then, a real smile that lit up her whole face, and Sung-min forgot how to breathe for a second. They reached classroom 3B, and he found himself not wanting to say goodbye. "If you need help with anything else, just find me. I'm usually by the gym after school." "Okay," Kiara said. "Maybe I see you later." Sung-min walked to his own class in a daze. He couldn't focus during his lessons. His mind kept replaying that smile, those eyes, the soft way she said his name. His best friend Dong-hyun noticed immediately. "Who was that girl you were walking with?" Dong-hyun asked during lunch. "Everyone's talking about it." "Just a new student who needed help," Sung-min said, but his voice sounded different even to his own ears. "She's really pretty," Dong-hyun said carefully. "But you know your ex Ji-yeon is going to lose her mind when she finds out you talked to another girl." Sung-min shrugged. He and Ji-yeon had broken up 2 months ago because she cared more about his family's money than about him. "Ji-yeon and I are done. She needs to move on." But moving on wasn't something Ji-yeon knew how to do. By the end of lunch, she had cornered Sung-min near the cafeteria. Ji-yeon was beautiful in that perfect polished way that came from expensive salons and designer clothes. Her father was a powerful politician, and she'd grown up believing she was meant to marry someone equally important. I heard you were playing tour guide this morning, Jiyeon said, her voice sweet but her eyes cold. That new African girl, right? How charitable of you. Her name is Kiara, Sungmin said firmly, and I was just being nice, which is something you should try sometime. Jiyeon's perfect smile faltered. Don't get too attached, Sungmin. Your mother would never approve of you dating someone like that. You know how she is about family reputation and tradition. Sungmin felt anger rise in his chest. I'm not dating anyone, but if I were, it would be none of your business. He walked away before she could respond, but her words stayed with him. His mother was indeed very traditional. She had specific ideas about who he should date, what university he should attend, what career he should pursue. But Sungmin was tired of living according to other people's plans. After school, he went to basketball practice but couldn't concentrate. His coach yelled at him twice for missing easy shots. When practice ended, Sungmin was heading to the parking lot when he saw Kiara sitting alone on a bench outside the library. She had a sketchbook open on her lap and was drawing something with complete focus. What are you drawing? He asked, walking over. Kiara jumped a little, then smiled when she saw him. Oh, hello, Sungmin. I am drawing the school building. I like to draw things I see. Sungmin sat down next to her and looked at the sketch. It was really good, capturing every detail of the building's architecture. You're talented. Have you been drawing long? Since I was small child, Kiara said. Her Korean was improving even in just one day, he noticed. My mother. She died when I was 8. Drawing helped me feel better. I'm sorry about your mother, Sungmin said softly. Thank you. My father, he got job here in Korea at big technology company, so we moved here 3 weeks ago. Everything is so different. The language, the food, the way people act. Sometimes I feel very alone. Without thinking, Sungmin reached over and gently touched her hand. You're not alone anymore. I'll help you adjust to everything here. Kiara looked at their hands, then up at his face. Something passed between them in that moment. Something electric and warm and terrifying and wonderful all at once. Neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. The world around them seemed to fade away until it was just the two of them on that bench. Why are you so nice to me? Kiara finally asked. You are a popular boy. You could talk to anyone. Why me? Sungmin thought about it. How could he explain that from the moment he saw her, something inside him had shifted? How could he tell her that her smile made his heart race in a way nothing ever had before? Because when I look at you, I see someone real, someone brave, someone worth knowing. Kiara's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. No one ever said something so nice to me before. Over the next 3 weeks, Sungmin and Kiara became inseparable. He volunteered to be her official study partner to help her improve her Korean. They met every day after school at the library, sitting close together as he explained grammar rules and vocabulary. But they talked about so much more than just language lessons. Kiara told him about growing up in Nairobi, about her aunt who made the best chapati, about her dreams of becoming an artist. Sungmin shared his own dreams, secrets he'd never told anyone. How he didn't want to take over his family's hotel business. How he wanted to study environmental science and help fight climate change. How sometimes the pressure of being perfect made him feel like he couldn't breathe. You should follow your heart, Kiara said one afternoon as they walked through a nearby park. Life is too short to make everyone else happy while you are sad inside. Is that what you do? Follow your heart? Sungmin asked. I try, Kiara said. My heart tells me that moving to Korea was scary but also good. My heart tells me that meeting you was best thing that happened since we came here. Sungmin stopped walking and turned to face her. His heart was pounding so hard he was sure she could hear it. Kiara, I need to tell you something. These past few weeks, getting to know you, spending time with you. It's been the best part of every single day. I think about you all the time. When I'm not with you, I'm counting the minutes. Until I see you again. Kiara's breath caught. I feel same way. But Sung-min, people at school already talk about us. They say things that are not nice. Your friends tell me I should stay away from you because I will ruin your reputation. I don't care what anyone says, Sung-min said fiercely. My reputation doesn't mean anything if I'm not happy. You make me happy, Kiara. A light rain started falling, gentle drops that sparkled in the evening light. They were far from any shelter, but neither of them moved. Sung-min stepped closer to Kiara, close enough that he could see the little flecks of gold in her brown eyes, close enough that their breath mingled in the cool air. Can I kiss you? He whispered. Kiara nodded, and Sung-min leaned down and pressed his lips to hers. It was soft and sweet and perfect. The rain fell harder around them, soaking their clothes, but they didn't care. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were smiling like crazy people. I've never felt like this before, Sung-min admitted. Is this what falling in love feels like? I think yes, Kiara said, touching his face gently. Because I am falling too. They walked to the subway station sharing Sung-min's jacket as an umbrella, holding hands and laughing at how wet they were. At the station entrance, Sung-min kissed her again, longer this time, pouring every feeling he couldn't put into words into that kiss. When they finally separated, Kiara looked dazed and beautiful. See you tomorrow? He asked. See you tomorrow, she confirmed. But as Sung-min rode the subway home, his phone buzzed with a text from his younger sister, Hae-won. Mom knows about the African girl. She's really angry. Be careful when you get home. Sung-min's stomach dropped. He knew this confrontation was coming, but he wasn't ready. When he walked into his family's huge house in Gangnam, his mother was waiting in the living room. Mrs. Park was a beautiful woman who always looked perfect, from her designer clothes to her carefully styled hair. But right now, her face was tight with anger. Sit down, Sung-min, she said in a voice that meant trouble. His father, Mr. Park, stood by the window looking uncomfortable. Hae-won sat on the couch, giving Sung-min a sympathetic look. Sung-min sat down and prepared himself for the storm. I received a very interesting phone call today, Mrs. Park began. From Ji-yeon's mother. She told me that you've been spending all your time with some foreign girl from Africa, that you've been seen holding hands with her, kissing her in public places. Tell me this isn't true. It is true, Sung-min said, keeping his voice steady. Her name is Kiara, and she's my girlfriend. Mrs. Park's face went pale, then red. Your girlfriend? Have you lost your mind? Do you know what people will say? Our family has a reputation to protect. We have business relationships that depend on our image. You cannot date some random girl from who knows where. She's from Kenya, Sung-min said. And she's not random. She's smart and kind and talented. I really care about her, Mom. I don't care if she's the princess of Kenya, Mrs. Park snapped. This relationship ends now. You will stop seeing her immediately. No, Sung-min said firmly. I won't. The room went silent. Sung-min had never directly defied his mother before. Mr. Park cleared his throat. Son, maybe you should think about this carefully. You're young. This is probably just a phase. It's not a phase, Dad, Sung-min said. I'm in love with her. Mrs. Park stood up, shaking with anger. You don't know what love is. You're 17 years old. I'm telling you right now, if you continue this relationship, there will be consequences. I will cut your allowance. I will take away your car. I will make sure that girl's father loses his job. Do you understand me? You would ruin an innocent man's career just to control me? Sung-min asked, shocked. I will do whatever it takes to protect this family, Mrs. Park said coldly. Now go to your room and think very carefully about your choices. Sung-min went to his room, but not to think about his choices. His mind was already made up. He texted Kiara immediately. "We need to talk tomorrow. It's important." She replied right away. "Is everything okay? I'll explain tomorrow. But Kiara, no matter what happens, I'm not giving up on us." "I'm not giving up either," she wrote back. And Sungmin felt his heart squeeze with love for this brave girl who was willing to face whatever came their way. The next day at school, Sungmin found Kiara before classes started. He pulled her into an empty classroom and told her everything about his mother's threats. Kiara listened quietly, her face growing sadder with each word. "Maybe your mother is right," Kiara said finally. "Maybe we are causing too many problems. I don't want your family to hate you because of me. I don't want my father to lose his job." "Hey," Sungmin said, taking both her hands in his. "Look at me. My mother is wrong. What we have is real and good. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, we're going to face opposition. But I'm not walking away from you. Are you walking away from me?" Kiara's eyes filled with tears. "No, never. But I'm scared, Sungmin." "Me too," he admitted. "But we'll figure it out together, okay?" She nodded and hugged him tight. They stood there holding each other until the bell rang for first period. As they walked out of the classroom, neither of them noticed Ji-yeon standing down the hall, her phone in her hand and a cruel smile on her face. She had heard everything, and she was already planning her revenge. Are you Team Sungmin and Kiara? Comment below and let us know. If you're loving this story so far, smash that like button and share it with someone who loves romance. Chapter 2 is coming up next, and trust us, you won't believe what happens. Over the next 2 months, Sungmin and Kiara's relationship deepened despite the obstacles. They learned to navigate the stares and whispers at school. They found secret places to meet, little cafes in neighborhoods where no one knew them, quiet spots along the Han River where they could talk for hours without judgment. Every stolen moment felt precious. Sungmin brought Kiara to meet his younger sister Haiwan properly, and the two girls bonded immediately. Haiwan was 15 and thought the whole situation was wildly romantic. She started helping them by covering for Sungmin when he snuck out to see Kiara. She even convinced their father to at least give the relationship a chance. Mr. Park was less rigid than his wife. He pulled Sungmin aside one evening and said, "Your mother and I came from different social classes when we met. My parents didn't approve either. So I understand what you're feeling. Just be smart about this, son. Don't throw away your future." "I won't, Dad," Sungmin promised. "But I can't give up Kiara either." At school, Sungmin made it clear to everyone that Kiara was off limits for gossip. When he heard students making cruel jokes about her, he confronted them directly. His popularity meant people mostly stopped with the open bullying, but the whispers continued. Kiara tried to pretend it didn't bother her, but Sungmin saw how she flinched when people stared. "I hate that you have to go through this because of me," he told her one afternoon as they sat in their favorite riverside spot. "It's not because of you," Kiara said firmly. "It's because people are small-minded. But you know what? Every mean comment makes me stronger. And every time you stand beside me, I remember why this is worth it." They kissed then, soft and slow, the kind of kiss that made Sungmin forget about everything else. Over the past 2 months, their physical connection had grown deeper. They knew each other's favorite ways to be held, the spots that made each other shiver, the exact pressure of lips that felt perfect. They hadn't gone all the way, both agreeing they wanted to wait until they were absolutely sure and safe. But their makeout sessions left them both breathless and wanting more. "I love you," Sungmin whispered against her lips. "I know we're young, and everyone says we don't know what real love is. But I know. What I feel for you is real." "I love you too," Kiara whispered back. "So much it scares me sometimes." But their happiness was about to be shattered in the worst way possible. One Monday morning, 3 months into their relationship, Kiara arrived at school to find a tall, handsome boy waiting by her locker. He had dark skin like hers and a confident smile that made other students stop and stare. "Kiara," he said in their native language. "Surprise." Kiara's face went pale. "Kofi? What are you doing here?" "I came for you," Kofi said. "I made a terrible mistake when I cheated on you back home. I've regretted it every day since you left. When I heard you moved to Korea, I knew I had to come make things right. I talked to your
father. He gave me his blessing to come here and win you back. Kofi, I've moved on, Kiara said, glancing around nervously. I have a boyfriend now. You shouldn't have come. A Korean boyfriend? Kofi laughed. Come on, Kiara. You know that's not going to work long term. These people don't really accept us. Your father told me about all the problems you've been having. Come home with me where you belong. Other students were gathering now, watching the scene with interest. Kiara felt panic rising in her chest. You need to leave, Kofi. Right now. But Kofi reached out and pulled her into a hug. Kiara pushed him away quickly, but not before several students snapped photos on their phones. She didn't see Ji-yeon in the crowd, filming everything with a satisfied smile. Sung-min heard about the scene before second period. Multiple people came up to him saying there was some guy claiming to be Kiara's boyfriend from Africa. Sung-min felt his stomach twist, but told himself to stay calm. Kiara would explain everything. But during lunch, Ji-yeon made her move. She walked up to Sung-min's table where he sat with his teammates. I thought you should see these, she said sweetly, handing him her phone. On the screen were photos of Kiara hugging Kofi, followed by a video of them talking in a language Sung-min didn't understand. In the video, they looked intimate, comfortable with each other, in a way that made jealousy burn through Sung-min's chest. She's been seeing him behind your back, Ji-yeon said, loud enough for everyone at nearby tables to hear. I guess she missed having someone from her own culture. I told you she wasn't good enough for you, Sung-min. I told you this would happen. Sung-min stared at the photos. His rational mind knew there had to be an explanation, but hurt and betrayal clouded his thinking. He'd stood up to his mother for Kiara. He'd risked his family's anger. He'd defended her to everyone who criticized their relationship. And all this time, had she been sneaking around with her ex? Where is she? Sung-min asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Probably with him, Ji-yeon said with fake sympathy. I saw them leave campus together. Sung-min stood up and walked out of the cafeteria without another word. His teammates followed, worried about what he might do. They found Kiara in the library, studying alone. When she saw Sung-min's face, she knew immediately something was wrong. Sung-min, what happened? He pulled out his phone and showed her the photos. Who is he? Kiara's eyes widened. That's Kofi. He's my ex-boyfriend from Kenya. But Sung-min, it's not what you think. He showed up this morning without warning. I told him to leave. That hug meant nothing. I pushed him away. You looked pretty comfortable to me, Sung-min said, hating how cold his voice sounded. How long has he been here? How long have you been lying to me? I haven't been lying, Kiara said desperately. He just arrived. I had no idea he was coming. You have to believe me. Do I? Sung-min asked. Because everyone's been telling me from the beginning that this wouldn't work, that you'd eventually want to be with someone from your own background. Maybe they were right. Tears streamed down Kiara's face. How can you say that? After everything we've been through. You know me, Sung-min. You know I would never cheat on you. But the hurt was too fresh, the betrayal too sharp. Sung-min had built his whole life around her for the past 3 months. He'd fought battles with his family. He'd endured whispers and criticism, and seeing those photos felt like a knife in his heart. I need some space, he said. I can't deal with this right now. Sung-min, please, Kiara begged, reaching for his hand.
He pulled away. Don't call me. Don't text me. I need to think. He walked out of the library, leaving Kiara sobbing. His teammates looked uncomfortable, not knowing what to say. Donghyun put a hand on Sungmin's shoulder. Maybe you should hear her out, man. She looked really upset. Not now, Sungmin said, and went home early, ignoring the rest of his classes. Meanwhile, Kofi found Kiara crying in the library bathroom. Hey, what's wrong? He asked with concern. Everything, Kiara sobbed. Your showing up here ruined everything. Sungmin saw photos of you hugging me, and now he thinks I've been cheating on him. Then he's an idiot who doesn't deserve you, Kofi said. Kiara, come home with me. Your father misses you. I miss you. We can fix what we had. I don't want to fix what we had, Kiara said angrily. I'm in love with Sungmin. What you and I had is over, Kofi. It's been over for months. You need to accept that and go home. I'm not giving up that easily, Kofi said stubbornly. That evening, things got even worse. Mrs. Park made her boldest move yet. She visited Kiara's father at his office, dressed in expensive clothes that screamed wealth and power. Kiara's father, Mr. Omondi, was a kind man who worked hard to provide for his daughter. He loved Kiara more than anything and only wanted her to be happy. Mr. Omondi, Mrs. Park said, sitting across from his desk, we need to discuss your daughter's relationship with my son. With all respect, Mrs. Park, I believe that's between the young people, Mr. Omondi said carefully. Let me be direct, Mrs. Park said. This relationship is causing problems for my family. I'm prepared to offer you a significant sum of money and use my husband's connections to advance your career substantially. All you need to do is convince your daughter to end things with Sungmin and return to Kenya, even if just for a few months. The distance will end the relationship naturally. Mr. Omondi felt anger rise in his chest. You're trying to bribe me to hurt my daughter? I'm trying to help both our children, Mrs. Park said smoothly. They're too young for such a serious relationship. The cultural differences are too great. Eventually, this will end badly. I'm simply trying to make that ending less painful by offering you compensation for the inconvenience. Please leave my office, Mr. Omondi said firmly. My daughter's happiness is not for sale. Mrs. Park stood up, her face hardening. You're making a mistake, Mr. Omondi. I can make your life in Korea very difficult. The business community here is small. One word from me to the right people, and you'll find yourself without a job. Then I'll find another job, Mr. Omondi said, or we'll move somewhere else. But I will not betray my daughter's trust for money or threats. Goodbye, Mrs. Park. After she left, Mr. Omondi sat at his desk feeling worried. He didn't tell Kiara about the visit, not wanting to upset her more when she came home that evening with red, swollen eyes. When she told him about the fight with Sungmin, he held her while she cried. Do you love him? Mr. Omondi asked gently. So much, Papa, Kiara sobbed. But maybe everyone's right. Maybe we're too different. Maybe this was doomed from the start. Love is never doomed, her father said. But it does require trust. If Sungmin truly loves you, he'll come around once he calms down and thinks rationally. But Sungmin wasn't thinking rationally. He spent 3 days ignoring Kiara's calls and texts. He threw himself into basketball practice, playing so aggressively that his coach worried he'd hurt himself. His teammates tried to talk to him, but he shut them all out. At home, he barely spoke to anyone, just went straight to his room after school. It was Haiwan who finally made him see sense. She stormed into his room on the 4th day, furious. You're being an idiot, she announced. Get out, Haiwan, Sungmin said. No, she said firmly. You're going to listen to me. I talked to my friend Soo-jin, who saw everything that happened with that Kofi guy. Kiara pushed him away immediately. She told him to leave. She looked uncomfortable the whole time. Ji-yeon deliberately took photos at the exact moment of the hug to make it look worse than it was. Sungmin felt his stomach drop. What? Ji-yeon set you up, Haiwan said. She's been planning this for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy your relationship. And you fell for it. You let your jealousy and pride get in the way of trusting the girl you claim to love. Sung-min put his head in his hands. Oh God, what have I done? You broke her heart, Haewon said bluntly. Soo-jin saw Kiara at school yesterday. She looks terrible. She's been crying constantly. And that Kofi guy follows her around trying to convince her to go back to Kenya with him. Panic flooded through Sung-min. I have to talk to her. I have to apologize. He grabbed his keys and drove straight to Kiara's apartment. But when he got there, her father answered the door with a grim expression. She's not here, Sung-min. Where is she? I need to explain. I need to apologize for being such an idiot. Mr. Omandi sighed heavily. She left for Kenya this morning. She said she couldn't stay here anymore, that everything hurt too much. She left you this letter. He handed Sung-min an envelope, and Sung-min's hands shook as he opened it. Kiara's handwriting was shaky, like she'd been crying while writing. Dear Sung-min, I'm going back to Kenya. Not because of Kofi, but because I can't handle causing so much pain anymore. Your mother hates me. The students at school whisper about me constantly, and now you don't trust me. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. These past 3 months with you have been the most beautiful and painful time of my life. I'll never forget the way you kissed me in the rain. I'll never forget how safe I felt in your arms. I'll never forget how you made me believe that love could conquer anything. But maybe some things are too big even for love to overcome. Please don't blame yourself. This isn't your fault. The world just wasn't ready for us. I hope you have a wonderful life. I hope you follow your dreams and study environmental science like you want to. I hope you find someone who makes you happy, someone your family can accept. Thank you for loving me, even if it was just for a little while. Forever yours, Kiara? Sung-min read the letter 3 times, each word cutting deeper than the last. She thought he'd stopped loving her. She thought she was just causing him pain. She didn't know that she was the best thing that had ever happened to him. I have to go after her, Sung-min said desperately to Mr. Omandi. Please, tell me how to find her. She's staying with her aunt in Nairobi, Mr. Omandi said. But Sung-min, maybe it's better this way. Your mother came to my office and threatened my job. She tried to bribe me to make Kiara leave. Your family will never accept her. My mother did what? Sung-min felt rage and shame wash over him. Mr. Omandi, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I'll talk to my parents. I'll make this right. How? Mr. Omandi asked sadly. You're 17 years old. You're still dependent on your parents. Even if you love my daughter, what kind of future can you offer her? She'll always be the outsider, always be the one your family resents. Is that the life you want for her? Sung-min had no answer. He drove home in a daze, clutching Kiara's letter. When he walked into his house, his mother was arranging flowers in a vase, humming happily. The sight of her looking so content made something inside Sung-min snap. How could you? He asked quietly. Mrs. Park turned around. How could I what? Threaten Mr. Omandi's job. Try to bribe him. Go behind my back to destroy my relationship. How could you do that? Mrs. Park's face showed no remorse. I did what I had to do to protect you from making a terrible mistake. The only mistake here is you, Sung-min said, his voice rising. Kiara was the best thing that ever happened to me. She made me happy. She supported my dreams. She loved me for who I am, not for our family name or money. And you drove her away. She left on her own, Mrs. Park said coldly, because deep down, she knew she didn't belong in our world. Our world? Sung-min laughed bitterly. What kind of world rejects someone because of where they're from? What kind of world puts reputation above happiness? I don't want to be part of that world anymore. Mr. Park walked into the room, having heard the raised voices. Sung-min, calm down. No, Dad. I won't calm down, Sung-min said. Did you know what Mom did? Did you know she threatened Mr. Omandi? Mr. Park looked at his wife with surprise and disappointment. You did what? I did what you were too weak to do, Mrs. Park said defiantly. Someone had to put a stop to this ridiculous relationship. You had no right, Mr. Park said quietly. That was wrong, and you know it. For the first time, Mrs. Park looked uncertain, but she lifted her chin stubbornly. I don't regret it. That girl was wrong for our son. That girl's name is Kiara, Sung-min said, and I'm going to get her back. I'm going to Kenya, and I'm going to tell her that I'm sorry for not trusting her. I'm going to tell her that I love her and that I'll spend the rest of my life proving it if she'll give me another chance. You're not going anywhere, Mrs. Park said sharply. Watch me, Sung-min said, and walked up to his room to start planning. He used his own savings to book a flight to Nairobi for the following week. He didn't tell his mother. He only told Hae-won, who helped him figure out logistics. Over the next few days, Sung-min felt like he was living in a fog. He went through the motions at school, but couldn't focus on anything. The hallway where he first met Kiara felt haunted. The library where they studied together felt empty. Every place reminded him of her. Meanwhile, in Kenya, Kiara was trying to piece her broken heart back together. She stayed with her Aunt Wanjiru, who ran a small art gallery in Nairobi. Kiara spent her days helping at the gallery and her nights crying into her pillow. She'd check her phone constantly, hoping for a message from Sung-min, but nothing came. Kofi had followed her to Kenya and kept showing up at the gallery, trying to convince her to give him another chance. See? I told you it wouldn't work with that Korean boy, Kofi said. He didn't even fight for you. Just go away, Kofi, Kiara said tiredly. You're right that it didn't work out. But that doesn't mean I want to be with you. What you did when we were together, cheating on me with my friend, that can never be forgiven or forgotten. Her best friend Malika came over every day to check on her. Malika had known Kiara since they were children and had never seen her friend so heartbroken. This Sung-min must be really special, Malika said one evening as they sat on the balcony watching the sunset. He is, Kiara said softly. Was. I don't know anymore. Did he ever actually say he didn't love you anymore? Malika asked. No, but he didn't trust me. He believed I would. Cheat on him. After everything we went through together, he still didn't trust me. People make mistakes when they're hurt and scared, Malika said wisely. Especially boys. They're not as smart as they think they are. Kiara smiled a little at that, but her smile faded when she thought about never seeing Sung-min again, never feeling his arms around her, never hearing his laugh or seeing his smile. The pain was physical, like someone had reached into her chest and torn out her heart. Back in Korea, Sung-min's departure day finally arrived. He told his father where he was going, but not his mother. Mr. Park looked at his son with a mixture of concern and respect. You really love her that much? More than anything, Sung-min said. I know I'm young, Dad. I know everyone thinks this is just a teenage crush that will fade. But it won't. Kiara is it for me. She's the one. Mr. Park sighed and pulled out his wallet. He handed Sung-min a credit card. Take this, for emergencies. And son, I hope you bring her back. Your mother will come around eventually. She loved me despite her family's objections. Deep down, she understands what you're feeling. Sung-min hugged his father tightly. Thank you, Dad. At the airport, Hae-won had snuck out to see him off. Bring her back, she said, hugging her brother. And tell her I miss her. I will, Sung-min promised. As the plane took off, Sung-min looked out the window at Seoul disappearing below him. Somewhere in Kenya, Kiara was probably thinking he'd forgotten all about her. But she was wrong. He would fly across the world for her. He would fight anyone who tried to keep them apart, because some loves were worth everything. This story is getting intense. Are you crying yet? Drop a comment telling us if Sung Min will win Kiara back. If you're invested in this love story, hit that like button and share this with your friends. Chapter 3 is coming up, and you absolutely need to see how this ends. The plane landed in Nairobi early in the morning, and Sung Min had never felt so far from home. Everything looked different, felt different. The air was warmer, the sky bigger. He'd never been to Africa before, and under different circumstances, he might have been excited to explore. But right now, all he could think about was finding Kiara. He texted Malika, who had secretly been in contact with Haiwan for the past week, helping plan this whole thing. Malika had convinced Kiara's aunt to tell her the address of the gallery. When Sung Min arrived at the small art space in a busy Nairobi neighborhood, his heart was pounding so hard he thought it might explode. Through the window, he could see Kiara. She was arranging paintings on the wall, wearing a simple dress that made her look even more beautiful than he remembered. Her hair was different, loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back. She looked thinner, and there were dark circles under her eyes that made Sung Min's heart ache. She'd been suffering just as much as he had. He pushed open the door, and a bell chimed. Kiara turned around, and when she saw him, she dropped the painting she was holding. It clattered to the floor, but neither of them moved to pick it up. "Sung Min," she whispered, like she couldn't believe he was real. "What are you doing here?" "I came for you," he said simply. Kiara shook her head, tears already streaming down her face. "You shouldn't have come. It's too far. It's too much." "Too far?" Sung Min laughed, but there were tears in his eyes too. "Kiara, I would fly to the moon for you. Kenya is nothing." He crossed the gallery in 3 long strides and dropped to his knees right there in front of her. Kiara gasped, looking around in embarrassment, but the gallery was empty except for them. "I was an idiot," Sung Min said, looking up at her with everything he felt written on his face. "I should have trusted you. I should have let you explain. I let my hurt and jealousy make me stupid, and I hurt the person I love most in the world. Kiara, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "Sung Min, please get up," Kiara said, but her voice was shaking. "Not until you forgive me," he said stubbornly. "Not until you tell me there's still a chance for us." "How can there be a chance?" Kiara asked, crying harder now. "Your mother hates me. Everyone at school talks about us. We cause so many problems." "I don't care about any of that," Sung Min said fiercely. "The only problem I have is being without you. These past 2 weeks have been hell. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't focus on anything. Every song reminds me of you. Every place I go, I see your face. You're in my heart, Kiara, and you're not leaving. Ever." Kiara covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Sung Min stood up and gently pulled her hands away so he could see her face. "Tell me you don't love me anymore," he said. "Tell me you've moved on. Tell me it's really over. If you can say that and mean it, I'll leave right now. I'll never bother you again. But if there's even a tiny part of you that still loves me, still wants to be with me, then give me another chance. Please." "Of course I still love you," Kiara whispered. "I've loved you from the first day. I'll probably love you forever. But love isn't always enough, Sung Min. We proved that." "We didn't prove anything except that we give up too easily," Sung Min said. "We let other people's opinions matter more than our feelings. We let fear win. But I'm done being scared. I'm done letting anyone tell me who I can and can't love. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, Kiara. You make me want to be better, do better, fight harder. Without you, I'm just going through the motions of living. With you, I'm actually alive." Kiara looked into his eyes, and Sung Min could see her resolve crumbling. "What about your mother? What about school? What about all the problems?" "We'll figure it out together," Sung Min said. "I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying everyone, will magically accept us. But Kiara, I would rather have a difficult life with you than an easy life without you. Don't you feel the same? Fresh tears rolled down Kiara's cheeks, but she was nodding. Yes, I feel the same. I've been so miserable without you. I miss you every second. I miss your voice, your laugh, the way you hold me. I miss everything. Sungmin pulled her into his arms, and Kiara melted against him. They stood there holding each other so tight, both crying, both laughing, both feeling like they could finally breathe again. After what felt like forever, Sungmin tilted Kiara's face up and kissed her. It was desperate and sweet, and full of apology and promise all at once. I love you, he murmured against her lips. I love you so much. I love you too, Kiara whispered back. But Sungmin, what happens now? We can't just pretend the problems don't exist. First, you need to meet someone, Sungmin said, pulling out his phone. Malika burst through the door, right on cue, grinning widely. Did he do the dramatic speech? Please tell me he did the dramatic speech. Kiara looked confused. Malika? Did you know about this? Of course I knew, Malika said. Your boy here has been planning this grand gesture for a week. I helped coordinate everything. You're welcome, by the way. Wait, you two have been talking? Kiara asked, looking between them. Your sister Heywan contacted me through social media, Malika explained. She was worried about you and wanted to help fix things. So we came up with this plan. Romantic, right? Despite everything, Kiara laughed. You're all crazy. Crazy in love, Malika said cheerfully. Now, I hate to break up this reunion, but there's someone else who wants to interrupt. As if on cue, Kofi walked into the gallery. When he saw Sungmin with his arms around Kiara, his face darkened. So this is him, the boy who broke your heart. I made a mistake, Sungmin said firmly, but I'm here to fix it. You think you can just fly here and everything's fine? Kofi challenged. You have no idea what she went through because of you. I was here when she cried herself to sleep every night. Kofi, stop, Kiara said tiredly. I appreciate that you were here, but my relationship with Sungmin is none of your business. I came all the way to Korea for you, Kofi said. I've been trying to show you that I've changed. And I've been trying to tell you that we're done, Kiara said more firmly this time. You cheated on me, Kofi. You hurt me. I've forgiven you, but I'll never forget. And even if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't want to be with you because I'm in love with Sungmin. He's not right for you, Kofi insisted. His family will never accept you. You'll always be an outsider in his world. Then we'll build our own world, Sungmin said, pulling Kiara closer. Look, I get that you care about her, but she's made her choice. You need to respect that and move on. Kofi looked at Kiara, saw the way she leaned into Sungmin, saw the love in her eyes when she looked at him. Finally, he sighed in defeat. Fine. If this is really what you want, Kiara, then I hope he makes you happy. But if he ever hurts you again, he'll answer to me. That's fair, Sungmin said, extending his hand. After a moment, Kofi shook it. After Kofi left, Malika clapped her hands. Okay, now that the drama is handled, you two need to talk about practical things, like what happens next. They spent the rest of the day planning. Kiara's aunt Wanjiru came by and was instantly charmed by Sungmin, especially when she heard he'd flown all the way from Korea just to apologize. That's real love, she said approvingly. Sungmin convinced Kiara to come back to Korea with him. I know you're scared, he said, as they walked through a nearby park that evening, holding hands. But running away didn't make things better. It just made us both miserable. We need to face this together. Your mother will be so angry, Kiara said. Let her be angry, Sungmin said. My dad is on our side now. And Heywan has been working on Mom, showing her articles about successful multicultural couples, talking about how the world is changing. Mom's stubborn, but she's not heartless. When she sees how serious I am about you, she'll come around eventually." They spent that night and the next day together, reconnecting in every way. They talked for hours about everything they'd felt during their separation. They shared fears and hopes for the future. And in the privacy of Aunt Wanjiru's guest room, they held each other close, sharing tender kisses and whispered promises. "I miss this," Kiara murmured as Sung-min traced patterns on her back. "Being close to you like this, feeling safe in your arms. I'm never letting you go again," Sung-min promised, kissing her forehead. "Whatever challenges come, we face them together. No more running. No more giving up. We're in this for forever." "Forever," Kiara agreed, and sealed the promise with a long, deep kiss. 3 days later, they flew back to Korea together. Kiara was nervous as the plane descended, knowing they were about to face the biggest challenge yet. But every time fear tried to take over, she looked at Sung-min beside her, holding her hand, and remembered why they were doing this. Mr. Omandi picked them up from the airport, and the reunion between father and daughter was tearful and happy. "I'm glad you came back," he told Kiara. "Running away isn't the answer. Standing up for what you believe in is." The real test came that evening when Sung-min brought Kiara to his family home. He'd called ahead to make sure everyone would be there. His mother answered the door, and her face went pale when she saw Kiara standing beside her son. "What is she doing here?" Mrs. Park asked coldly. "Her name is Kiara, and she's my girlfriend," Sung-min said firmly. "She's here because we need to have a family meeting. Can we come in?" Mrs. Park looked like she wanted to refuse, but Mr. Park appeared behind her. "Let them in," he said quietly. In the living room, Hae-won jumped up and hugged Kiara tightly. "I'm so glad you're back. I missed you." "I missed you too," Kiara said, hugging her back. They all sat down, tension thick in the air. Mrs. Park refused to look at Kiara, sitting stiffly on the couch with her arms crossed. Sung-min took a deep breath and began. "Mom, I know you think you were protecting me by trying to end my relationship with Kiara. But you weren't protecting me. You were hurting me. These past 2 weeks without her were the worst of my life. I couldn't function. I couldn't be happy. Because she's not just my girlfriend. She's my best friend, my partner, the person who makes me want to be better." "You're 17, Mrs. Park said. "You don't know what real love is." "How old were you when you met Dad?" Sung-min challenged. 18, right? And Grandma and Grandpa didn't approve because Dad came from a poor family. But you fought for him anyway. You chose love over family approval. Why can't you understand that I'm doing the same thing?" Mrs. Park looked startled. Mr. Park nodded slowly. "He's right. You defied your parents for me. You said love was worth the risk." "That was different," Mrs. Park protested weakly. "How?" Hae-won asked. "Because Dad was Korean?" "That's the only difference, Mom. You're being a hypocrite." "Hae-won, don't speak to your mother that way," Mrs. Park snapped, but there was less force behind her words. Kiara finally spoke up, her voice quiet but clear. "Mrs. Park, I understand your concerns. I know my relationship with Sung-min has caused problems. I know people talk and judge. But I want you to know that I love your son with all my heart. I would never hurt him intentionally. I don't care about your money or status. I just care about him, about making him happy, about supporting his dreams." "And what dreams are those?" Mrs. Park asked, finally looking at Kiara. "He wants to study environmental science," Kiara said. "He wants to help fight climate change and protect the planet. He told me these dreams because he felt like he couldn't tell you, that you'd be disappointed he doesn't want to run the family business." Mrs. Park looked at her son in surprise. "Is this true?" Sung-min nodded. "I've wanted to tell you for years, but I was scared. Scared you'd be angry or disappointed. But Kiara encouraged me to be honest about what I want. She makes me brave, Mom. She makes me better." The room fell silent. Mrs. Park's carefully constructed walls were starting to crack. She looked at her son's earnest face, at the way he held Kiara's hand like it was the most precious thing in the world. She looked at her husband, remembering how her own parents had tried to keep them apart. She looked at Hye-won, who was watching her with hope in her eyes. "This is not how I imagined things for you," Mrs. Park said finally, her voice softer than before. "I wanted an easy path for you, a traditional path. I wanted to protect you from judgment and difficulty." "I know, Mom," Sungmin said, "but easy isn't always right. And I don't need protection from the world. I just need my family's support." Mrs. Park stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the garden. Everyone waited, barely breathing. Finally, she turned back around. "I can't promise I'll be perfect about this. I can't promise I won't worry or struggle with it. But I can promise to try. Because despite what you all think, I do want you to be happy, Sungmin." Sungmin stood up, pulling Kiara with him. "That's all I'm asking. Just try." Mrs. Park looked at Kiara directly for the first time. "I owe you an apology. I went to your father and tried to bribe him to make you leave. That was wrong. I was operating from fear and pride, not from love. I'm sorry." Kiara's eyes widened. She hadn't known about the bribe attempt, but she nodded gracefully. "Thank you for apologizing, Mrs. Park. I accept your apology. Tell me about your family," Mrs. Park said, sitting back down. "About your life in Kenya. Help me understand who you are." Over the next 2 hours, they talked. Really talked. Kiara shared stories about growing up in Nairobi, about her mother who had passed away, about her dreams of becoming a professional artist. Mrs. Park listened, and slowly her expression softened. She asked questions. She even smiled a few times at Kiara's funny stories. It wasn't perfect. There was still awkwardness and tension, but it was a beginning. When it was time for Kiara to go home, Sungmin walked her out to his car. "That went better than I expected," he said. "Your mom is trying," Kiara agreed. "That's more than I hoped for." "I meant what I said in there," Sungmin said, taking both her hands. "You're my forever, Kiara. I know we're young. I know we have years of school left. I know there will be more challenges. But none of that changes how I feel." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Kiara gasped. "Sungmin, what is that?" "It's not an engagement ring," he said quickly, opening the box to reveal a delicate silver ring with a small stone. "We're too young for that. But this is a promise ring. It's my promise that when we're ready, when we finish school and built our careers and are standing on our own 2 feet, I'm going to ask you to marry me. And this is my promise that no matter what happens between now and then, I'm yours. Only yours. Forever." Tears streamed down Kiara's face as Sungmin slipped the ring onto her finger. "I promise the same thing," she whispered. "Forever." They kissed there in the driveway, not caring who might see, not caring about anything except each other. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling through their tears. Over the next 6 months, things slowly improved. Mrs. Park made genuine efforts to get to know Kiara, inviting her to family dinners and cultural events. She still had moments of concern and traditional thinking, but she was trying. At school, the whispers and stares gradually decreased as people got used to seeing Sungmin and Kiara together. Ji-yeon apologized publicly after her parents found out what she'd done and forced her to make amends. Some students even approached Kiara to tell her they thought she and Sungmin were cute together. Kiara's art started gaining recognition. She had a small exhibition at a local gallery, featuring paintings inspired by her experiences in Korea and her relationship with Sungmin. Mrs. Park attended the exhibition and even bought one of the paintings, which made Kiara cry with happiness. Sungmin focused on his studies, working hard to get scholarships for university since he'd decided to pursue environmental science regardless of his mother's initial wishes. Mrs. Park eventually accepted this and even began researching programs with him. The couple faced their share of challenges. There were still people who disapproved. There were cultural misunderstandings that led to arguments. There were moments of doubt and fear. But they worked through everything together, their love growing stronger with each obstacle they overcame. Finally, graduation day arrived. Sungmin and Kiara walked across the stage to receive their diplomas, both graduating with honors. Their families sat together in the audience, cheering loudly. Mr. Omondi and Mr. Park had become friends over the months. Mrs. Park and Aunt Wanjiru, who had flown in for the ceremony, chatted like old acquaintances. Haiwan and Malika, who had also come to visit, were recording everything on their phones. After the ceremony, Sungmin took Kiara to a spot overlooking the city where they'd shared many important conversations over the past months. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Remember when I gave you this?" Sungmin asked, touching the promise ring on her finger. "Every day," Kiara said. "I look at it every time I doubt myself or feel scared. I want to add to that promise," Sungmin said, taking her hands. "We're about to start university. You got into the art program you wanted. I got the scholarship for environmental science. We're going to be busier than ever. There will be new challenges and new pressures. But Kiara, I want you to know that none of that changes my plans." "What plans?" Kiara asked, her heart racing. "My plan to spend the rest of my life with you," Sungmin said simply. "My plan to support your dreams while you support mine. My plan to build a life together that's ours, not anyone else's. My plan to marry you someday and have a family and grow old together. All of it. Every single bit." Kiara was crying again, but these were happy tears. "Those are my plans, too." "Exactly." "We did it," Sungmin said, pulling her close. "We survived everything everyone said would break us apart. Jealous exes, family pressure, cultural differences, distance. We proved that love, real love, the brave kind, that fights for what it wants, that love can overcome anything. We proved that we're stronger together," Kiara agreed. "That our differences make us better, not worse. That choosing each other was the best decision we ever made." They kissed as the sun set over Seoul, the city lights beginning to twinkle below them. Around Kiara's neck was a necklace Sungmin had given her, with both their names engraved in Korean and Swahili. In his wallet, Sungmin carried a small drawing Kiara had made of them holding hands under that streetlight where they'd first kissed in the rain. "You're my forever," Sungmin whispered. "And you're mine," Kiara whispered back. They stood there wrapped in each other's arms, looking out at the future that stretched before them. It wouldn't always be easy. There would still be challenges to face, obstacles to overcome. But they would face them together, hand in hand, heart to heart. Their love story had started with a simple question in a school hallway. It had survived betrayal, distance, family opposition, and cultural barriers. It had been tested in every possible way. And it had emerged not just intact, but stronger, deeper, truer than ever. Some people would still whisper. Some would still judge. But Sungmin and Kiara had learned that the opinions of people who didn't matter couldn't hurt them. What mattered was the love they shared, the promises they'd made, the life they were building together. As they walked back to where their families waited, holding hands and smiling, they knew one thing with absolute certainty. They had found their person. They had found their home in each other. They had found forever. And nothing in the world could take that away from them now. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Did this story make you believe in true love? Drop a massive heart emoji in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we have more incredible romance stories coming your way. Tell us where you're watching from and what you loved most about Sungmin and Kiara's journey. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, real love is always worth fighting for.